everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Ask Two Dude Show. I believe we're up to number 8 now.
Are we on 8?
Were we on
at 4?
No, I think we're on 8.
Hell.
Well,
this dude missed out.
It's been a
Roll into the, I gotta get back in the game.
Been a twofer every time.
Apparently.
They know it.
Yeah.
I guess I should have checked before I shot the video, but hey, this is why we have cell phones, right?
Man, did we really do 8?
I believe we're at 8. Or maybe it's 7.
Or maybe.
Well, I know I didn't shoot
maybe
one.
It's 4.
Well, I know you did one with Megan. I wasn't there. I think I missed 2.
Did you?
Didn't I? Maybe.
Hang on.
I don't know. You know,
Hang
I
on,
don't know.
hang on. We'll
That
go to
was
the
last
videotape.
year.
Let's see here. Episode number 7. 7. Sorry, guys. 7. We're close. Hey, you know,
I
it's been a long week.
Still tuned down to 3.
And it's only Wednesday. Today we have my co-host, which I'm pretty excited about because he wasn't there last time.
What?
Mr. Milo Draven.
I'm the second dude.
Yes, and we have Roger here from Williamson Foundation Repair.
How you doing?
And
I'm the third guy.
we're really excited about having Roger on here because we haven't had a foundation person on the show yet. We've had a lot of other people. And then what really draws me to you is not only your experience, you've been, 30 years now?
31 years. Mm-hmm.
And then you have some really cool stuff, which we'll get into, like stuff that nobody else has, which is pretty cool.
We like that.
Yeah.
And look, without foundation, you don't have a house.
Right.
True.
So you're pretty important.
I am. I'm going to have to remember that when I go home at night.
That's right. I want you to remember. That's your mantra.
That's my
Without
mantra.
me, there is no home.
I'm important.
The thing that I think, I'm from the East Coast, I'm a transplant, you're a transplant from Cali.
I'm native.
I know you're born and raised.
East Texas.
Wah, wah.
I grew up on a cattle ranch, man. I had a life.
The thing that I didn't know about when I first moved here was roofs and foundations are like
Mhm.
the biggest problems in Texas. Like, doesn't really matter where you are, whether you're in Anna or if you're in Irving or if you're somewhere else in the
It's
DFW
one or the other is a
area.
problem.
Right. I mean, it's just
Usually both.
You're either getting hail
Yeah.
or your house is sinking.
Right.
Yeah, or both.
Or
and, then,
both.
and,
Or
then we,
both.
and then we don't even want to talk about termites because that's in there too.
Are there bad termites in Texas?
Oh gosh, yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't do termites
That's
because,
for-
like,
it's for-
VA loans, you
It's
get
for a
termites.
totally different show.
Yeah.
I'm actually not licensed to be able to say the word termite. Wood destroying insect.
Oh.
Exactly.
You have to have a
Yeah.
license to say that?
in,
Okay.
in a report.
I think it's a category.
In a report. In a report.
Oh, okay.
Inspection report.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
So let's talk about a little bit about foundation repairs.
Absolutely.
We know that there's a slab. We know that there's pier and beam, which is just what it is, pier and beam.
Mhm.
What are you seeing out in the field? I know you do a lot of your coverage. We talked about not doing so much Fort Worth, but more of the Dallas area
Mhm.
and then outlying areas. What are you seeing out there? Is it a lot of slab cracks? Is it a lot of sinking foundations? Like, what do you see out there?
Well, basically, most of what we see are slabs because that's most of the foundations we have. There are a lot of pier and beams, but after the early 60s, slab became the predominant foundation out there. So most of what we see are slabs. Now there are a lot of pier and beams out there. There's also a combination which is called a screeded slab, which we can go into at another time.
Okay.
But the slab foundation is most of what we see. Prior to about 1980-ish, most slabs were what's called conventional slab. They actually have steel rebar put in them,
Gotcha.
lots and lots of rods of rebar crisscrossing in the concrete. After about 1980, what became the standard is what's called the post-tension slab, which is where it doesn't have a bunch of rebar. It has cables that run from one side to the other, not as many of them. And then after the concrete cures for about a week, they come and they actually pull those cables and make them real tense.
I've seen that with a custom builder.
Right. It's a great concept. Concrete only works under compression. It doesn't handle other loads, torsional loads, and it doesn't handle other loads very well, just compressive loads. So if we take the concrete, we squeeze it together, it's going to make it real solid and it can't fail. But most of the work we do is on post-tension slabs. They fail all the time. So.
So let's go back
That's
to
what we use, but they fail.
Yes. They're
the American way.
They're a lot faster and a lot less expensive.
Right,
to
and then we
build.
get to fix them.
And then we get to fix them.
Right, okay.
Let's talk about the new construction, because 300 new people come to DFW every single day.
Yes. Most of them from California, it seems.
California, Minnesota. I've seen it from pretty much all over the country, but those are like even bigger. Michigan. I mean,
Yes,
it's just droves of people.
Mhm.
So if you're looking at it, you're like, 300 people is not a big deal, but 7 days, you're like 2,100 people. So there's a lot of new construction. That's kind of really holding up, I think, the economy at the moment. Talk about the new construction. So you have this tension deal, and that's where you see like the end caps on the foundation.
Right. You'll see little circles basically in the concrete on the edges where those cable ports are, and then they patch over them with basically a mortar mix, and so you'll see little circles on the foundation. But everything built past the mid 80s is going to be post tension slab in most cases anyway. Now I will say, slabs built today are much better than those built in say 1990. They're still post tension, but city requirements have beefed up the number of cables that are required, and more importantly, the number of interior cross beams. If you could pick a house up and flip it over and look at the bottom, the more it looks like a waffle, the more rigid it's going to be, the more it's going to resist.
So you have like a better foundation.
Right. So the more cross beams it's got going through the middle as well as the perimeter beam around the outside, the stiffer that foundation is, and the more it's going to resist movement. And city codes have kind of increased to require more of those in most of the cities. So a house built today is typically, for the most part, a lot better than the ones were in the 80s and 90s.
At least the foundation.
Foundation. Yeah, I can't speak to anything else, but foundations are.
So now, sorry.
Go ahead.
So when I'm dealing with the mortgage side, a lot of times it'll be a pre-existing house that a realtor obviously shows.
Right.
We go under contract, and then they do the inspection, and then there's some kind of foundation crack, or there's a foundation issue going into the inspection. I just had a deal a few weeks ago, and the agent called me and said, look, I know we're going to have a foundation problem. We've already discussed it. How can we get this house funded and closed? I said, you're going to have to fix the foundation.
Right.
Well, how bad is it? I said, I'm the loan officer.
Not the foundation guy.
I wish I had your number 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at? How can you tell at a glance, or what are sort of, this is horrible, this is not major, this run from?
Right. It's almost impossible to give you a quick diagnosis tool.
Right.
It takes really years to learn this. However, as a rule of thumb, if you've got 1 or 2 cracks in or around the house, probably not a big deal. If you've got a crack that you can start slipping coins into, it's a concern. If you have a crack that you can start sticking a pin into, definitely got something going on. Now, I will say this. Almost all the time, general inspectors will flag the foundation. If they find any kind of crack, any kind of door misalignment, anything, they're actually looking for a reason to red flag that foundation. The reason is not necessarily because the foundation's bad or needs to be repaired. It has a lot to do with liability.
It's liability.
Because they're not foundation guys either, and they don't know how to diagnose it either.
Okay.
It's real easy to diagnose whether a plug outlet works or not. You stick the tester in and the lights light up or they don't. It's a yes or no. Foundation has a lot of areas of gray, so it's very difficult for somebody to learn that process. So the inspectors will typically flag foundations to avoid liability, because when they flag it, what they say is have an expert look at it, have a foundation company or a structural engineer look at it to absolve themselves of liability. And that happens, I'd say probably 80% of inspections, the foundation gets flagged. Maybe you've got a different experience with that. A lot of it depends on the area of town, how new the house is, and the inspector himself.
And then what is your cost typically for somebody who does foundation to come in behind the inspector?
We don't charge anything. Most foundation companies
pause.
do not charge
Hold
anything.
that. You hear that? Free. He said free. There is no excuse for you not to have an expert
That's right.
from
Williamson Foundation.
Williamson Foundation to come out.
That's right. So it's no charge for us to come out. For realtors, we try our best to get there within 48 hours. We know that you're under a time constraint with your option period, and we do everything possible to get there within that time constraint. Now, if the realtor or the owner or the buyer suspects there may be a foundation problem up front, don't wait for the general inspector to flag it.
Start it first.
Give us a call. Give us more than 2 days to get there, because I swear, I bet you 50% of the calls we get from real estate agents are telling us that their option period ends in 2 days or less.
Right.
Or 2
Oftentimes
hours.
it's tomorrow or 5 o'clock
2
today.
hours, yeah.
And those are just hard timelines to try.
Or they'll call you with my question. There's just a little crack.
It's just a little crack. Yeah.
Do you think it'll be okay?
Try to describe it over the phone.
And I want you to say,
Yeah.
go online. Where is it? It's at AskTwoDudes.com, right?
Yeah, you can look at my, you can either hashtag us, you can email
Yeah,
us.
look,
I mean,
find
we
the
have-
video. It's free.
It's YouTube. I mean, we have it
It's
all over the
everywhere.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I cornered social media pretty well.
Right. And also, yeah, you're doing great. To further answer your question, as far as a lot of times they don't want to, they want to try to sell it without fixing it because they don't have the money to fix it.
Oh, yeah. I'm with
we
you.
do accept payment at closing.
And
on
so you
deals.
do, well, I forget what it's called. You'll know better than me because I forget it, but you put it towards, at the closing. It's
Right.
like
The money is escrowed.
yeah, but you'll like, there's a word
You can
for
do
it.
seller help or sellers.
It's like not a construction thing. It's like a mechanical deed or something like that. Where you invoice to the
there's a mechanical lien.
You can
but
lien,
usually-
that's what I
you
meant.
usually don't have to file those.
sweet. So the lien is when they don't pay it.
Yeah, lien
You'll
is
just do it as a
typically when
closing
somebody's
cost.
not paying or we have real strong reason
Just
to
get
believe
a little sketchy.
something's a little weird here. Most of the time, we don't need to file a
So
lien.
we've learned 2 important things already.
Right.
Yeah.
Free
Free,
and pay at closing.
pay at closing. That's
I mean,
right.
he's my new best friend. You'll be saving deals.
good.
Exactly.
Left and right.
Yes, we've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, people are very afraid of foundation because it's a big deal, and it is a big deal. But it's usually not as big a deal as people have in their mind.
Right.
It used to be for years and years and years. I heard the $10,000 number. Everybody assumed foundation repair costs $10,000. I don't have $10,000. It's not worth. Why should they even call them?
Right.
That has, with the economy and inflation, that has changed to $20,000. So now everybody thinks foundation repair costs $20,000. The average foundation repair job that we do is under $6,000.
Right.
So I mean, yes, it's a lot of money, but it's
It's your house.
When you're doing a $300,000 house deal, $6,000 is not a deal killer.
Right.
It's just not.
Well, it shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be.
Mhm.
Great.
No.
Let's talk about some hot spots. I know personally as a realtor, Irving,
Irving,
Uh,
Las Colinas,
Carrollton,
Carrollton,
um,
Grapevine.
So Las Colinas is building, just because I live out that way, I live in Farmers Ranch. Las Colinas has that whole new area that they're building on Lake Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
Is that thing gonna sink?
Mm-hmm.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because I've walked away from 2 builds, one was in Las Colinas,
Yeah.
and I think we've talked about this on another episode. Each builder was talking about how they were using the best products to shoot into the ground,
Right.
but they were all different products.
Well, and that's the thing is, there's all this. That's the new fad that's been around for about 10 years now,
Yeah.
ish. Started about 10 years ago, and that is soil stabilization chemicals. It used to be when they build roadways, they would put lime
Okay.
to help stabilize the soil. Well, now we're stepping that up. Lime's not good enough anymore. They got all these soil stabilization chemicals, and what the chemicals do is they react with the molecules in the clay to make it think that it's full of water and it can't absorb anymore. And so theoretically, when
That just
it gets
sounds like a
wet,
mess.
that
Yeah, I feel my house sinking already.
some of them work. I mean, I think some of them work fine. The problem is none of them have really been around long enough for us to know.
Right, 'cause
30 years. did
I've
it
been
work.
here 14 years, and I've literally only lived in Bedford and Las Colinas for the most part.
Mhm.
And Las Colinas was nothing when I moved there
Yeah.
9 years ago. Now all of a sudden you can't find somewhere to live.
Yes.
Everything's sprung up,
Yeah.
and it's all
Location,
over,
location,
and it's
location.
all over or around Lake Caroline. Was all grassy and muddy. Now has 5,000 apartment
Yeah.
units on it.
They bring in a few dump trucks full of dirt, drive over it with a tractor 3 times,
Well,
and it's good to go.
I mean, I literally just drove over there the other day because I don't live on that side, and since I'm on Farmers Ranch, and everything is going up, and it's all this steel beams, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking, but you're building over water, and I know that sand that you're on.
Well, if they drive the steel beams down far enough, It can be below. It's
I feel
hard
like
to
I'm
do
not
in there.
going to anything in Las Vegas anymore. And I'm not going to that theater. Because I've watched that theater go up next to the convention center and everything.
Oh yeah.
It sat for like a year. So I don't know if they ran out of money or they were really trying to do something with that ground.
Probably maybe some zoning or something.
Could have been a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
One of the cool things that I want to kind of spotlight was what you were telling me before. So if you have, and kind of correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not
Yeah.
anywhere near the expertise you are.
Don't worry.
So if you have like a driveway that's like sunken in, or you have like a foundation issue with that, you can actually like drill into it and put some sort of like epoxy or foam or something.
Foamed polyurethane. So foundation repair, what foundation repair is putting some kind of a pier underneath a structure.
To like prop it.
And so it puts a point load on the structure. So that concrete has to be strong enough to withstand a lot of force over a very small area. Now, we get a lot of calls for 30 years for patios and driveways and pool decks that have fallen, that have sunk. Well, the problem is you can't put a point load under a thin piece of concrete like that. It'll lift it up, but over a little bit of time, it's just
So
going
the
to
point
crack
cracks again.
It's going to crack around it, break. It's just going to be a mess. Some new technology came out 15 years ago or so. The patent ran out a few years ago, called foam polyurethane injection. Now, it is DOT approved throughout the nation, so it's used on highways, it's used in factory floors, it's used in
DOT?
almost every Department of Transportation.
Got it.
It's used on almost every airport runway in America to keep them level. And what it is you actually drill a hole about the size of your index finger, and you need several holes. But we hook up a gun. We have equipment with a liquid polyurethane and a liquid foaming agent. They're both superheated, mixed at the gun, injected under pressure. When they get together, it expands a lot, and it expands quickly. And it will actually fill up any void areas and then push that concrete back into place. In 15 minutes, it's at 90% hardness. In 1 hour, it's 100% cured and hard. And at that point, you could drive a dump truck over it.
Actually, I got spray foam, and then I had dirty thoughts too. So
Yeah,
gotta focus.
we don't do that.
Focus on it.
Well,
Focus.
we don't do
15
that
minutes
kind
is
of
a long
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, focus.
So we've got, but it's really cool stuff. It's very clean. It's very fast. After we patch the little holes, you usually can't even tell they're there. And it can lift all of that flat work concrete back up in place. So if you've got a house where the driveway has sunk and now you're driving
Like a
over a
patio
curb
or something.
yeah, or you've got a trip hazard. That's one thing, people, when you're putting a house up for sale and you've got a big trip hazard on your walkway up front, those kind of things need to be taken care of. And it's way cheaper than tearing out concrete and replacing it, even a small section of concrete.
Telling you, you're saving people money.
Yeah.
Free consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here comes the money shot here.
The money shot.
This is a realtor special, $500 off $500 off jobs at a minimum of $4,000, or $1,000 off of jobs of a minimum of $8,000. So this is a realtor special here. Another reason why Roger is my new best friend.
Yeah.
For stuff like that.
And you can pass those along to as
so,
many of your
yeah.
clients as you need.
Out to the realtors for a special. Best way to find you.
Best way to find us is probably the internets, the interwebs. Our website is williamsonfoundation.com. We do have a lot of educational stuff there. We just completely rebuilt our website. I think everything's working, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But we do have a lot of educational documents and videos and PowerPoints and things like that. We really try to stick with educating, not selling.
Right.
We're not a big sales company, but we like to try to educate, make sure people have the information they need.
Jab, jab, right hook.
Knowledge is power. Gotta do it.
You want to talk about some mortgage stuff?
I don't know. Do we need to? I feel like we've just inundated people with
Knowledge.
really good stuff today.
Knowledge.
It's not overdue our welcome back video.
That's true.
I don't want to steal any thunder from Williamson and Foundation. I've been so impressed.
I know.
I feel like I'm going to make this a close-up, folks. It's all there for you. Do you do like seminars? If I needed you to do like
Yeah.
with a group of realtors?
We do seminars
how
with
I met
realtors
him.
all the time.
All right, well, I'm going to reach out to you.
We like that. I appreciate it. We like it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and Chris and I, we work together, we know this. The smarter you are individually, then collectively, you're just better to serve, you're better serving a client.
Right. I
And
agree.
you avoid all of these issues that can easily be avoided with a little education.
Yeah,
And
I
you're
agree.
chasing your tail. Nobody wants to chase their tail, especially in this market.
No, you can't afford to.
You really can't.
No, absolutely not.
I had somebody last year. I did a deal, and he decided he was going to buy his mom's house. I told him not to because it had foundation issues, and he knew they were bad. Whatever foundation company he used, I can't remember the name of them. They ended up bursting one of his pipes,
Mhm.
and this $8,000 job became a $37,000 job.
Oh, jeez.
All the flip profit.
Uh-huh.
Gone.
Cool.
Yeah. And there are times that we'll look at it and we will confidentially tell the client, look for another house. There are some that they're gone. They're too far gone. They can
I've
be
been
helped
in a
but
couple
not
of
fixed,
those.
and just,
It's brutal.
you're better off just finding something else.
But people don't want to find something else.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get fixated on the numbers they have in their head and how great they are.
This is what I've noticed, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but especially first-time home buyers, it's like the thrill of the whole like HGTV, like we're gonna fix this thing up. And,
Everybody thinks they can fix a house
and
on a budget.
and it's the story. Like we have a great story about this house. Like we've turned it from a complete disaster to this magnificent work of art, which is cool. I have no problem with that, but
Mhm.
probably not
yeah.
the first house.
If
And
you really
have the
have
money
the skills.
and the skill.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. What I'd like to see on the shows, I'd love a series of Property Brothers that's the hour behind
Yeah,
that you don't
yeah.
see. All the crap that really happens.
Well, all the professionals they have in doing the
Yeah,
work in
that's-
between the shots of
Yeah.
the homeowner doing the work.
Because I can bust out some cabinets.
Oh, sure.
And then look, I'm out.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be lunching and shopping. Call me when the house is done.
Other than plumbing, tear out's easy.
Yeah.
But putting everything back, you think you can watch a couple of YouTube videos and
Or
you're
Home
good to
Depot
go.
on Saturdays.
Yeah,
and learn how to
and
tile.
it's not quite that easy.
There's one show that I forget what it's called. They're literally first time flippers, and it's friends, and they go in, and it's nightmare stories. They never end well. But I love that
it's
show because
real reality TV.
Yes, they get in there like a year later.
So if
still
you're
trying to
watching
flip.
this, we're gonna do a flip show where we do absolute, real, 100% reality.
We're gonna call it Nightmare Flips.
Yeah.
What is Gordon Ramsay have that show like?
Hell's
Kitchen
Kitchen.
Nightmares.
Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it Flip Nightmares.
Flip nightmares.
So you heard it here. We got
Yeah.
dibs.
Yeah,
Maybe-
reality show. We need a
We can get
producer.
Gordon Ramsay to host it. That'd be
No,
good.
I curse more than that.
Oh, all right, good.
We're good.
Yeah, as long as you can throw a few expletives in there.
We can even do it live,
For real.
which would be cool.
Yeah, and I can wear a construction hat and a belt. I'm turning into a fashion woman.
He's all
I just
all about the
I just got a
wardrobe
picture
over
of that, and it wasn't.
I'm gonna be dressed. You got the wrong picture.
I was hoping that
This is a
wasn't
family show.
Yeah,
total
I'll be
of the
dressed.
wardrobe, yeah.
No, yeah, I'll have the yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
We.
I like how it says Roger Owner,
Roger Owner.
Yeah. Well,
just in case.
That's not on all
I
of
had
them.
to make sure I kept all my ducks.
Oh, I thought he wrote it.
No, I didn't write that. No,
I was on the phone.
See, I already know.
remembered.
I knew. I didn't need the notes.
I work for Rogers, so I had to make sure.
I like it, and I like that it's a happy house after the
It's a
foundation.
happy house. I drew that happy house when I started this company in 1985.
Uh-huh.
It typically, other than here, it typically sits on top of the W where it's supporting it. We took away the happy house in 2001.
Why?
And well, it just started looking a little dated and cutesy, and we got so many realtors calling me saying, "What happened to the house?" So about 6 months later, it came back.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant because it's a stressful situation, and so you already know going in. And then you see this little happy house, you're like, all right, it's gonna be all right. I think it's brilliant.
I'm going to live with the happy house the rest of my life.
Yeah, or at least the next 5 years before I flip it.
Till we have our own reality show. Awesome, guys. So this is what is it?
Episode
number
7.
Seven, yes.
Lucky 7.
Like Star Wars.
Please start hashtagging Ask2Dudes on Twitter. We'll answer whatever questions you guys have. You can also message myself or Milo. We will answer those questions for you guys. We have a ton of knowledge between both of us, and we have a ton of contacts, just like my man Roger here, that can come on the show. So if you have some ideas on the show as well, please go ahead and add those. We love the comments. We read them. They are our oxygen for the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. There we go. And
Watching. We appreciate you watching.
yeah, watch for the next episode. We'll have it out. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Take care.
Bye.